to have a big sum at once, also inform your bank in advance before you deposit it, and show that it comes from a crypto-related platform or exchange. That is all that you need to do to.
Hello and welcome to Crypto Interviews. My name is Claudio and this is Cryptoshi, the channel where I do crypto news, reviews, tutorials, and interviews with a focus on the Polkasama ecosystem. But in today's video, I've got a special guest, Thomas, who's going to be talking about cryptocurrency taxes in Portugal, because I know many people watching my channel are trying to find ways to reduce their taxes or maybe to not pay any taxes at all if it's possible, right? It is a bit difficult, but there are some countries out there which are not tax havens, but they do have a special law, or maybe we should say an unclear law on what the tax situation is like for crypto, because it is a gray area. So Thomas, thank you very much for coming. And by the way, Thomas does have a YouTube channel as well. He talks about cryptocurrencies, and I think he's also planning to do some videos on cryptocurrency taxes. So make sure to follow him on YouTube. You can find his link in the pinned comment of this video and also in the description if you're watching this on Odyssey. So that's been it from my side, because I've been talking too much. Thomas, if you want to please introduce yourself, give us a little bit about background about yourself, and how did you get into crypto? How did you get into taxes? You know, just.
Well, thanks a lot for inviting me. Let's start with that. So I'm living in Portugal. I'm not Portuguese though. I moved here a few years ago. I've worked in accountancy, and from accountancy and tax advising, I moved into more corporate finance. And actually during the accountancy period, I just understood how accounting works, how taxes works, how it can also be in my benefits.
Yeah.
Then how I got into cryptocurrency. Actually, in 2015 and 2016, when I was working in a consultancy agency, I already had a few clients that were owning cryptocurrency, and they liked to talk about it. It was a very early stage, but it got me interested because I saw a lot of wealthy clients, and obviously they have golden knowledge, as I call it. So it had a bit of my interest. Then at some point I moved on from that job and I went into real corporate finance. And there I just noticed, like, the way banking works. I already didn't have a lot of good feelings with banking, but really the way banking works there, it's so slow. It creates so many issues, sometimes waiting 4 or 5 days for a payment. And for some businesses, this can be final and fatal. So this got me even more interested in blockchain and cryptocurrency. And actually, I had a project together with Amazon in that company. And that was actually my first crypto project, let's say.
Wow.
And from then, I'm just learning on the go. So I started my freelance account. I took any crypto-related jobs that I could, any tax-related jobs that I could, and learning on the go. And so far, it's been pretty good.
No, absolutely. That's great. It's great to hear. And yeah, let's get into the crypto taxes for Portugal, because this is the important topic. So first of all, I know that it's a gray area, right? So we know that Portugal are saying that they're not taxing crypto because they're not considering it like real valued assets, I believe, right? Like real fiat.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
it's not money.
So let's talk about that. So if, say, for example, you're European, we're going to start with Europeans, right? I know some people that are watching my channel, or I think the majority are from the US, but we'll get into that after. So if you're European, you have the right to work in Portugal. But let's say that you found a job in Portugal, right? You're going to work there full time, but you also have some crypto holdings. And let's say you've got maybe, I don't know, 100,000 euros. If you want to cash out 100,000 euros in Portugal after you become a resident, you go and work there, is it tax-free or do you have to pay tax?
So this is actually quite more complicated than it seems. So Portugal, the basic rule is if you're a full-time trader of crypto, so crypto is your main source and you trade on a daily basis, then you're taxed on your crypto. Everything else currently is not taxed in the private sector. If you hold crypto in a company or you receive it as payment, it is taxed, but that's a separate story.
Yeah.
But what you have then is a convention in between two countries. So if you cash out, let's say on your first day that you become a resident in Portugal, Portugal will be okay with it. If it's crypto, you just have to show that it's from an exchange or from some crypto-related platform. But what you could have is that the country where you come from still has some rights on what you take out. I don't know all the crypto laws. I don't know that much that I know every single country's crypto laws.
Yeah.
But there are conventions in between Portugal and other countries. And that is something that you have to look into. Like if you cash out in Portugal, is your home country still going to tax you?
Yeah. I see what you mean. So if they don't tax you, then you basically don't pay any tax. If there's no double taxation from your home country.
Exactly.
And by home
there is no
country,
double
by home
taxation.
country, you actually mean resident, right? So, or citizen. Say, for example, I've got citizenship from, let's say if I don't have from Spain, right? But let's say I would have had citizenship from Spain, then I would have, there's no double taxation as far as I'm aware in Spain. So if I was to move to Portugal, then I would not be taxed in Spain. Right?
Well, citizenship and residency are different, I think, because you can be a citizen. I'm a citizen of the Netherlands.
Yeah.
But I'm resident in Portugal. And before I was resident in Portugal, I was a resident in the UK. So it's the tax treaty between the UK and Portugal in that case for me.
Okay, I see what you mean. So they do actually count residency and not necessarily citizenship. It's like the last country where you are a resident.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, right. I see. Okay, that's interesting to know. So we have to look into the tax treaty of or the country where we are residents, not only citizens, but then also citizens, because that could also play a role, right?
They could. I heard that, especially in the US, there are some laws that are negatively impacting you as an investor. I have some American friends here, and they are negatively impacted that the US just keeps control over it. But here within Europe, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, I've heard that. That's interesting. So now let's talk a little bit about so like I was going back to the first question. So you have a job in Portugal, full-time job. Let's assume that there's no tax treaty with double taxation, so that you're just going to be taxed on whatever you gain in Portugal. If you cash out a large lump sum in Portugal while you have a full-time job, let's say you do it on day one, will that be taxed?
So what is important is that you cash out on a Portuguese bank, because that's what Portugal controls. They can't see what happens in bank accounts in other countries. I personally haven't done it yet, but I've communicated with the bank multiple times. And what they advise me is try to have a big sum at once. Also inform your bank in advance before you deposit it, and show that it comes from a crypto-related platform or exchange. That is all that you need to do to be covered that it is crypto-related, bank is informed, and again, try to do it in one sum and not in small ones.
Okay, so now the question comes, why not in small ones? What happens if you do it in small ones? Like, do you raise alerts or?
Yes, don't ask me the minimum amount, let's say, but just like every single country, if you start depositing, let's say 50,000 euros every single month, then the bank will it will hit an alarm bell, and you will have to show that. That's why it's just important that you communicate with your bank with what you do.
Okay, understandable. Now let's get to the point where Portugal actually consider regular trading an activity, right? But what if you have a full-time job, but you're not like, how do they define regular trading? Let's say I do trading on the side as a side hustle because I enjoy it, but I'm not a professional trader. So when I say trading, I'm just saying I'm swapping from, say, Bitcoin to Ethereum, from Ethereum to Polkadot, from Polkadot to Kusama, to euros maybe. Then I'm going to decide to buy something else again. So maybe I do, like, I don't know, 10 or 12 transactions a month. Would that be classified as regular trading? Like, what's the limit on regular trading?
So the first aspect is that it needs to be your main source of income. And then it is, if it's your main source of income, that is one point. The second point is that you also have to be trading on a daily basis for as far as I understand. I don't have any clients that are full-time traders currently, because this is also trading. So if you're farming or you're staking, that is different. But trading is really buying and selling crypto assets and realizing capital gains. Sorry.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So when you say about staking, how is that considered different? Because I mean, you're still receiving the income right into your account, but then if you decide to sell that for euros, then would that be classifying as income as well?
No, this is not taxed in Portugal currently. This might be taxed in the future because Portugal is right now the most beneficial tax country regarding crypto, as I read 2 days ago. But they will be charging this as interest and dividend payments. It's hard, it's just speculation on how they are going to do that. But Portugal basically has two categories. They have the category of capital gains, and they have the category of dividends and interest gains. And yeah, that is just speculation, but Portugal is also thinking about how can they regulate this.
Okay. And what about the situation when you've got another activity that earns you much less income per month than what you earn by selling crypto? And let's say you sell crypto on a regular basis, but then you earn more in crypto. Would they treat your crypto income as the regular income and then your other source of income as like a second job? How would they treat that then? No, it's a difficult
That's hard
question.
to say.
It's a difficult question, but there are people that are going to be in that situation for sure. Like say, for example, us, right? We're content creators as well. So let's say I go as a content creator there. Let's say Google doesn't pay me so much money from Google Ads, but then I earn a lot more from crypto. So I'm going to be earning, like my main source of income is going to be YouTube, but then I earn more from crypto. So how would that be? How would that actually work?
Yes, that is indeed an interesting question, but that is a very gray area to show because it also depends on when you want to cash out. If you're trading and with your capital gains, you're just staking it and you keep it in crypto, or you go to a USDC or a USDT, you're not paying it out. So yeah, even in that case, as long as you stay in crypto, you don't have any capital gains. So it's up to you how to play it well.
Yeah, but my point is that I get that bit, right? But the point is when I'm going to cash out, so I'm going to need money to survive, right? So let's say anybody else could be in this situation. They're earning from this job so much, and then they need more, so they need to cash out from crypto. So you're going to be selling, and in that case, they're obviously going to see it. So how will the tax declarations actually work in that case? I mean, do you? Because you're earning, so let's say you're earning more money when you're selling your crypto. Not all of your crypto. Let's say you're only selling, I don't know, say 2,000 euros per month, but let's say you're earning 500 euros per month from another job. So would they tax on that 2,000 euros per month?
Again, it's a very gray area. I can't answer this question because you're not a full-time trader because you still have a part-time job besides it. Crypto is your biggest income, so that would be if people are interested, they could contact me and I can look in their situation. But this is a very gray area, as I said. Yeah, if you want to pay yourself out, if you don't pay yourself out, it's difficult to answer that question just straight to the point. Yeah, I can imagine. No, I mean, and this is the thing with crypto taxes in Portugal, is not only in Portugal, but probably in other countries, is that I think it depends a lot on the situation, what you do. Like, for example, let's say you've got a company which is registered somewhere else outside of Portugal. Like, how would that work then in that case? Would they still treat that as your main source of income, or? Depends. So in Portugal, you also have the special residence status. I think this is something that we discussed earlier as well. If you acquire this status and your job is one of the wanted jobs here in Portugal, and you get paid from a company, which is then dividends, if it comes from outside of Portugal, or what is your example? Like, you get paid from a company outside as a freelancer, or you get paid as dividends, or? No, I mean, you're working, you've got a business and you're getting paid from your clients from that company, which is registered outside of Portugal. So in that case, how would it work if you're a resident in Portugal? But then are you talking about income as income from wage, or are you talking about income from your clients in fiat directly? And then you've also got crypto investments as well, which should be cashing out. So would they treat that differently because your full-time job then is not actually in Portugal? You're not, would they treat that differently? Do you know? First of all, in order to pay taxes in Portugal, you need to be a resident here. That would also mean that that same person does his work mostly in Portugal. That means that if he has a company outside of Portugal, he has to set up an activity here to charge that company outside of Portugal to get the income in Portugal. Because residency it's very simple. If you are planning to stay somewhere more than 183 days a year, so more than half a year, then you are a resident there. But it's the same with your job. If your job is done 183 days, more than 183 days a year from another location, you also have to tax that job in that location.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. And yeah, let's talk a little bit about the NHR scheme. The benefits.
It's not a scheme; it's a status. Yeah,
it's the status. So basically, it's you're basically taking advantage of low taxes for up to 10 years. Sorry, up to 10 years,
yes.
right? That's the maximum that.
So what is important for people to know is that this is an option. It is it's security, let's say it, because you have the option to use it for 10 years.
Yeah.
And what you have to do to have this status is you haven't been living in Portugal for the last 5 years.
Right.
So if you didn't live in Portugal for the last 5 years, you can acquire this status. You can only acquire it in the year that you're coming until March the next year. After, you again have to move out of Portugal for 5 years, come back and acquire it again. So there is an acquiring period.
Wow.
Then the benefits that you have is that if you have income from abroad in interest and dividends, they will be tax-free. And if you have a job listed in Portugal, mostly it's like programming, doctors, art, there's a list of jobs that if you have one of those jobs and you're a freelancer or employed, you pay a flat rate of 20% taxes.
Okay.
So the NHR is something general. It has nothing to do with crypto specific.
Okay, but it does benefit crypto because you're just saying about the dividends that you get from abroad. So let's say, for example, you're getting staking income, you're selling that crypto, you're on the NHR scheme. You've also got another job as a freelancer. You pay 20% on that, but then on your crypto, which is coming from, say, maybe Coinbase, and Coinbase are in Ireland. They're not in. They don't have an office in Portugal, so it would be as a foreign income, right? So does that mean that would be definitely tax free then in that case under the NHR scheme? Or is it still a gray? Is it still a gray area because it's crypto?
That would be a gray area because, for example, if I hold stocks in the US. Those stocks are already pre-taxed. The dividends is already pre-taxed in the US. So I shouldn't also pay taxes in Portugal or the other way around. So what I do is that I pay taxes in Portugal. I ask for the taxes back in the US because you're not going to pay over dividends twice. So how is that going to work with crypto where it's decentralized? It's like, yeah, the company itself is there, but what if you use a DeFi protocol? Like in what country is that based? So it's a gray area to where is it taxed?
Yeah.
So with the NHR, yes, maybe there is a way in the future that you can say like, yes, I obtained this income from abroad and then it's tax-free with the NHR status, but maybe it's not from abroad. It's decentralized. It can be any single country.
Yeah, but would they not look at where the money is coming from, the euros? In that case, it would be Coinbase because they're the ones doing the conversion and paying you in your bank account.
Yes, but also in the future, maybe they're just like dividends going to withhold taxes on it.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. That's a possibility.
Good point. Yeah,
and then you have to ask it back in one country.
Especially if they're going to ask you the exact source. Like, for example, I've deposited on Coinbase, let's say on this date, then I've done a lot of things, yield farming, staking, etc., on various exchanges, on various DEXs, and now I'm cashing out back through Coinbase. But they may be asking, well, how did you actually generate this, right?
Exactly.
If they have the time, because this is another gray area. Like, just think about the tax advisors having to read pages and pages. Like, we're talking maybe hundreds, maybe thousands of pages of transactions. Yeah. I mean, do you really think they're going to look at that? It's a tricky one, right? I mean, at the end of the day,
and governments are behind on technology a lot.
Exactly.
In my work, I've seen how far they are behind.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, that's been interesting. And I was definitely curious to kind of get your thoughts and see how things would work over there. But is there anything else you'd like to share with regards to taxes and companies in Portugal and anything that people maybe would like to hear?
Yes. So the only thing is, if you're really planning to be a completely full-time trader, you're going to be taxed in Portugal. But if your income comes from staking, it comes from yield farming and stuff, you don't have to open a professional activity in Portugal, but you're still earning money. The only problem that you then have is that if you want to use the public healthcare, there is no way to obtain it. So that is a real issue. If you're earning money, but you're not a full-time trader, you're not working for someone, you're not a freelancer, you're obliged to take private health insurance in Portugal.
Wow. Okay.
Well,
So
you're not
there's-
obliged, but else you have no health insurance. So that is a bit difficult.
Okay. Okay. I see. So there is something that we need to keep in mind. I mean, you gotta pay some taxes at the end of the day in order to make sure you're benefiting from those services, right? What
Well,
about the situation? Sorry, what about the situation with the the European crypto law? Because there's some discussion at the moment. I've heard that there's discussion in Brussels talking about that, but we don't know exactly what it's going to be. I mean, how do you see that? Do you know any more information on that, or?
No, so I'm not really a specialist in crypto taxes in that case. It's just my background and my interests are coming together. So my background is in tax advising and consulting, because that's what I did my first years when I came here. So I know about that, and crypto has my interest. So it comes together, but I'm not somebody that is looking in every country, like what do the laws do? I mean, regulation, obviously we follow regulation because that impacts us all as crypto investors. Exactly. But not specific what you're just discussing, like in Brussels. I'm really focused on Portugal.
On Portugal, yeah. No, absolutely.
Because that affects me personally as well. So
exactly. No, this is what I was thinking, that with the European law, they're going to enforce it, because at the end of the day, we have to look at Portugal like it's not a tax haven, right? That's the end of the story. It's a country which where they treat crypto in a gray area at the moment, but in the future, in the near future, it could even be next year, they might just say, you know what, we've got a regulation, we've got the rules. These are the clear rules everyone has to follow. This is how it's going to be taxed if A meets B meets C meets D, you know? So yeah, I think it's coming.
The only thing that I know that is right now they're speculating to change the law, that here in Portugal, there was for years, the law was if you have capital gains, you can either choose to tax it for a flat rate of 28.5%, or you count it up with the rest of your income, which goes up to 58%, if I am not mistaken. Right now, they're trying to force capital gains to go with your income. So that means that capital gains are almost going to be taxed twice as much as before. And I'm not sure if crypto moves for this or the NHR status, because a lot of wealthy people are coming to Portugal and save a lot of taxes. So that is a rule that they are thinking about right now. So this is not crypto related yet. Yeah. But capital gain tax is going up. And once they start taxing crypto capital gains, it will also be very high.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know it's 28% in Portugal. In Spain, it's like up to 26% now. So it's changing from 19% up to 26, depending on the amount. So yeah, I mean, considering the 28%, I mean, there are people in Spain that are looking at moving to Portugal just because of the 0% tax, but then they should think again, because if they do implement this rule and they do tax it as capital gains, then it's going to be a lot more than Spain. I mean, it's going to be 28%, right? And that could even change, right? It depends what they decide to do. So yes, yeah, interesting. Yeah, no, that's been it. I hope you found this informative. Thank you very much, Thomas, for sharing your knowledge on this.
You're welcome.
And hopefully when we get more information on what the situation is going to be, we can bring you on again, and we could discuss and debate to see what could be the perfect scenario for somebody to try to lower their taxes, maybe within Portugal. And yeah, if you want to check out Thomas, again, just a kind reminder, his channel can be found in the pinned comment of this video and also in the description if you're watching this on Odyssey. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.